And hello, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy start of the Memorial Day weekend. Everyone, welcome to Get a Grip with Coach Helix. I'm your host, Coach Helix, and with me, my amazing co host,
Stephen Frederick.
Stephen Frederick Masek, attorney, and Stephen the Medium. Most of
Yes.
you know him as Stephen the Medium. Stephen, how are you?
Oh, I am dandy.
You're a dandy, and you're
Yes.
excited that the Memorial Day weekend holiday it's here. There, this is the official start of the summer season here for
Yes.
us.
And of course, I'm very excited. It's always exciting to have a holiday weekend, and regardless of what the weather's like, it's still there's a lot of joy around. So we're all good.
I love that.
Listen,
And
I ran
today,
this morning the 5 miles, and I was in my glory. So that starts my day off, and then everything else is just wonderful.
honestly, I would argue that you wake up in your glory.
Well, I
Just
do
saying,
wake up happy. I do.
you do. You're
Yes,
like a
very happy.
happy-go-lucky
Yes.
person. You open your eyes and you're smiling like you're the happiest person on earth, which is
Yes.
not a bad thing. Better than
No.
waking up with a grumpy face. But but today, Stephen, let our audience know that today we're talking about the power of being the only, why authenticity makes you impossible to overlook. And I'm really, really excited because our friend Donna Carlin, Canadian friend, is joining us again. And this time she wants to talk about her book, The Only, Perfectly Yourself, Impossible to Overlook. So I can't really wait to have that conversation with her as well.
And just what, like several weeks ago, you were able to see her in person.
I was lucky enough at the leadership conference for the Institute of Coaching, which is, in affiliation with McLean Hospital, Harvard Medical School. They put out this amazing conference in Boston, and I've been a member. I'm a fellow with the Institute, a professional fellow with the Institute, as is Donna, and we get to meet there every year. So I lucky enough to spend an entire full day. Donna didn't stay for the two conference days, but her and I spent, I would say, a day and a half together. So it was really awesome.
That's wonderful.
But with that said, Stephen, I'm curious, what is happening on your world? We got guests for the weekend. Want to talk about that?
Sure. Yeah. What would you like me to talk about?
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know. You're telling me. You're directing me. So what
Well,
would you like?
well,
Yes, we do.
yeah.
We do. Yes, we do have
Okay.
guests here.
Yes, we
We have
have
family here.
family from NYC who are here spending the holiday weekend with us. And we're really excited about that.
Yes.
And what else is going on with you?
Well, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's a, I think it's a really good time. Do you ever ever feel like something's bubbling or something's happening, but you can't really put your finger on it, but that just feels like from your soul like something really good or big or something's going to happen soon, and having that feeling in you every day is a great thing. It's a really good thing. So there's just so, especially when there's like you feel like there's so many directions. Sometimes this week I was thinking I have to start writing stuff down, because usually when I'm running I get all these ideas in my head, and I keep thinking, "Oh my God, this is great! This hasn't been done." Or that's how when I came up with a whisper in a note.
Mm-hmm.
If you go onto my website, stephenthemedium.com, you'll see what that service is. It's a really cool service, but I thought about that, about doing it when I was running. but Elix, there's so much in my head, and by the time I get home, and the priority is to have coffee because I have to, and then I sort of the little butterflies float out, and then I'm like, what did I think about again when I was running? So maybe I should just take a notebook. Maybe I should take an assistant that can run next to me, and if I hear something, I can just yell to them, and they can jot it down.
How about you use your phone and you record it in your memo?
I could do that. I mean, I could do that, but I've got music on through my phone, right? Because when I'm running, I have my earbuds on, and so I just have to be a little bit more disciplined. That when I get here back home, because clearly it's still in my head, I just have to write it down. Because as the hours go by and even the days go by, then all of a sudden I'm like, I remember something about it, but then they're replaced with other stuff. So it's just, it's like an assembly line in my head.
To say the least. When you said, the butterflies show up or something like that, they're real people.
Okay.
How, you see, like the movies where there's these imaginary butterflies. No, for Steven, they're real. I see them all the time.
Oh, you do? You must be psychic.
I must be, because
Yes.
there's definitely lots of butterflies and lots of stuff happening in that head of yours. Just saying.
You know what?
So,
But that is a great thing to have too much stuff as opposed to not enough stuff, and getting into that. I don't know, that imagination, and like I said, I mean, I think it's really important for everyone to know like what their muse is and where is that sweet spot that when you're in it, you just can start brainstorming things, or a lot of times it's not even intentional. It's sort of involuntary that things just can't come into your head regardless of like what part of your life it is. It's just when you're in that really happy place and you're in the present moment, that's when sort of like all your energy around you just sort of opens up, and it is like your imagination is on steroids and starts just dropping stuff. And of course, then, everyone that you lost that are loved ones are helping with that too. So it's a really great thing. Everyone should be able to name, how you always make people do their visions and their mission.
yes,
And I
it's
think
like a foundational part of the
Yeah.
work I do.
And I think everyone should be able to write down like immediately what their muse is. Like where is the place that they feel the happiest and the most joy and the most peace and serene, and like where their soul is fed. I think everyone should know that. And if you are listening to me and you're like, let me think, no, too long. You should really then just spend some time to know, so that the next time I ask or anybody else asks, you can be like, boom, there it is. There it is. Right?
Oops, there it is. So that could be an awesome show. So let's think about creating a show just with the intention to help people get to discover their muse.
See how this works. It's just amazing, right?
It really is. A couple of things, Stephen, unrelated to this. Number one is I definitely want to do a shout out to my gym, the Upper Cape CrossFit in what town are they? Is it Pocasset, Stephen, or Falmouth? Anyway,
No. I think that's still Beaumont, isn't it?
I don't know. I don't remember. But anyway, so a huge shout out. I don't know if I had mentioned that one of our members, somebody that, a friend of mine who works not at the same, I go usually to the 6 a.m., he goes to the 5 a.m., but we always connect in the morning. And he was hit by a motor vehicle while riding his bike home from work and suffered a really severe injury. Fibula was, he broke it and had to go into surgery. They put a plate, screws, and he's got a long recovery ahead of him. So we've done a fundraiser at the gym to support him and his wife. He has 4 children. And Stephen, I think we are going to raise somewhere around $1,500.
That's remarkable.
It's just amazing, and I'm so proud of the community and how everyone has pulled through, and so many people willing to give up, a donation, whatever. I told people it doesn't matter how big or small, so long it comes from the heart, it makes a huge, huge difference. So just a huge shout out to the gym. And of course, we're sending Connor a whole lot of white healing life for a speedy recovery, because he does have quite a few months ahead of him to get better, to get his mobility back. And then before we take the break and we bring our amazing friend Donna Carlin to talk about her new book, I also want to recognize Melissa Martin. Melissa is she's a resident of Attleboro, Massachusetts. She has lived with multiple sclerosis for the past 12 years, and she created an annual event to help individuals living with MS feel more connected, supported, and less alone. And so this year, the event is on May 30th. By the way, May is MS. What is it like when you recognize MS month?
Yeah, MS month. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so multiple sclerosis month. So that's for the month of May. So on May 30th at the La Salette Shrine in Attleboro, at the Welcome Center, she is hosting this fundraiser. It's called Community Cheer, and it will feature keynote comedians Tyler Hittner, Mike Murray, musical guest Lauren, community resources and opportunities to support individuals with MS and connect. An opportunity for the entire community to connect. And we just talked about our community at CrossFit. So communities are really, really, when our communities come together, really great things happen. So I just want to do a shout out to Melissa Martin, and just let everyone, if you're a local resident in Attleboro, this is an event that you want to support. Again, Saturday, May 30th, 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the La Salette Shrine Welcome Center. And with that said, Stephen, we are at quarter past the hour, so it's time for us to take a commercial break. And when we come back, we are going to welcome our friend, Canadian friend, Donna Carlin, and we are going to talk about her book, The Power of Being the Only. We'll be right back. They've confirmed that she's here or not? Felix. And with me, my amazing co host,
Stephen the Medium.
Stephen the Medium. And today we have an amazing guest, the one and only, our friend from Canada, Donna Carlin. And today we're talking about her latest book, The Power of Being the Only. So let me tell you a little bit about our friend Donna. I've known Donna for many years now. She is the founder of Shadow Coach. She's a coaching psychologist. Donna has over 40 years of experience as a coach, as an executive, somebody who empowers and supports leaders, whether in government, departments, agencies, and all over the world. Now, Donna is also somebody who is an author. She has been with us in the past several times. She's written multiple books, among them Inquiring Minds, Want to Grow, Harnessing the Power of Reflective Inquiry for Growth and Transformation, Feedback Unfiltered, Talent, Momentum, Leaders, Their Stories, Their Worlds. And most recently, her book, which is titled The Only, Perfectly Yourself, Impossible to Overlook. Now, why I think this conversation is important, because I do believe that many of us silently struggle with the pressure to fit in, and there's so many talented and capable individuals that spend years editing themselves to be accepted, to be more polished, to be less disruptive, only to lose connection with the very thing that makes them unique. And so I'm curious to talk to Donna about her perspective on that. So hello and welcome, Donna.
Hi, thanks for having me back. It's good to hear you.
It's awesome to hear you, Donna, and it feels like I haven't seen you in forever. And it's only been like, what,
Yeah,
a few
a
weeks,
month.
2 weeks ago? Not even. So, Donna, we're so happy to have you back. I know Stephen was thrilled when he heard that our friend Donna is back, because he didn't get to meet you this time around in Boston. So
I know.
So Donna, Stephen, Donna's not happy about this.
Neither
No,
was I.
I'm not.
Neither was I.
So Donna, let's dive right in. So tell us first and foremost about how did this book come about, and what's the inspiration behind it, and why do you feel this is an important message for most of us?
It's twofold. One is I had written topic-centric books for Book Boon, which is a corporate bookseller, and they were the largest ebook sellers in the world. I wrote 15 books for them over time, many over the last 3 or 4 years, and they stopped selling ebooks. So they gave me my publishing rights back. The thing was, they were topic-centric, so they could not be republished in their current form. And then I was looking at trends across the books that I had written and saying, there's more to just each individual topic in each book. I need to expand on them. Then there was another layer, because after I did the Feedback Unfiltered book, I've been talking a lot in the corporate environment, and I'm going to actually be doing a keynote for that next week. The conversations we're not having, and that's what it's about. And within that, it was, what is the feedback that we're getting that is keeping us the same as others? Even in leadership classes, I'm seeing them in the corporate environment now to grow their next wave of leaders. They'll have 30 people in the room, and they're teaching them all to be the same. They're teaching them the same skills, how to dress the same, what corporate presence looks like, all of this. So then you become a pool of people, all with talent, but because they're teaching you what to say, what not to say, how to smooth out your words, how to smooth out your presence and your edginess. So all of a sudden, you're no longer unique. You're in a pool of, good people. It's not that. It's what are you hiding that is keeping you from being uniquely you? And one of the things that I realized was one of the stories that I talk about when I was in Australia, or going to Australia for the first time, to speak on my shadow coaching methodology that I had created. I started getting these cautionary phone calls from, colleagues at Harvard and those who had relocated to Australia and knew the culture there, saying, whoa, they're not ready for you. They're going to look at you and say, who's this wacko woman and what is she talking about? And, I'm thinking, okay, this person has a doctorate in psychology from Harvard, and he's telling me they're not ready for me. Maybe I need to just become more of who they are rather than be me. And how I had to talk myself out of that feedback. So I realized that it was time to write a book about what to let go of in learning for so many years not to be too bold, not to stand out. In this family, we don't speak up. One person isn't better than the other. Like all of the programs that we're taught from school, from our families, from the corporate environment or whatever working environment we're in, to stop us from being us, to letting go of that and to embrace all of who we are and bring that to the table without regret and without minimization. Mm-hmm. So I really thought that this is the time to write it.
And Donna, of course, that's such an important conversation for anyone, whether you're in leadership or you're at home. What is the cost of shrinking yourself or editing yourself because somebody else tells you you should?
There's so many reasons. That's a big question. It's like, Lou calling me from Boston and saying to me, you need to share a disclaimer. And then I realized that once I taught him, because he was one of my students ultimately, he was more uncomfortable with my methodology than anything else, which meant that if he was uncomfortable with it, the rest of the audience that I would be teaching would be. And it's respecting somebody and their level of intellect to such a degree that you say maybe they're right. So you start minimizing yourself. Mm-hmm. It's the teacher that tells a student you're never going to amount to anything and constantly shares that message to the point where, who am I to be successful? My teacher told me for years that I'd be nothing. Or the parent who favored one kid over another for whatever reason and made sure that they kept making one of their kids small to make the other one bigger. There are so many reasons behind that, and it's a program. We're programmed for that. I remember speaking for the first time at a conversation among masters, which used to be for master level coaches. And one person stood up when they asked what I was doing. And at the time I was working on the Hill with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, which is like your Secretary of State. And, she looked at me and said, what's the big deal? It's just Canada. Nothing happens there. And what do you say to something like that? So, it's proving yourself. That didn't deserve an answer, to tell you the truth. A couple of my friends from New York started screaming at her on my behalf. It was a riot. The thing is, what are you going to accept as gospel that you shouldn't accept because you are who you are? And, I learned a long time ago, the International Coaching Federation keeps saying you don't mix psychology and coaching. My model is coaching psychology, and that's what they teach in Australia. They don't go by that tenet because you bring all of yourself to the table to help the people that you're working with in the best possible way. You don't hide part of yourself. And I see you do that, Elix. You bring all of yourself to the table when you work with anybody, when you interact with anybody.
I love that you say that, Stephen. Did you hear that? Can you make a note that Donna actually acknowledges that I'm actually doing the work that you coach me on, doing constantly. But I do want to say something about that, Donna, because I'm listening to you. And ironically, when I first got my certification as a coach and I was starting to build my business from the ground up, I was told, I was told by somebody who, who had authority in the industry, you need to edit yourself. Do not, in your biography, you should not talk about your husband, Stephen, because people, it's not going to be well received. And I remember thinking to myself, well, I don't really care. That is part of my identity, and I'm going to talk about it. And if it's not well received, so be it. But I am not going to edit myself. But I also remember thinking, Donna, that's me. I had the internal fortitude to speak up and to still do whatever I wanted to do. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people
Hmm.
go and say, okay, yeah, and that's the problem. How do we overcome that?
It's really hard. It goes for all kinds of like areas of our life, though. I mean, look at the people who are in abusive relationships. I'm married to somebody who's supposed to love me because they're my spouse. So if they're telling me that I'm worthless, they're doing it out of love. Like, how convoluted is that? It's the program that we have that, if we're married to somebody, we are because they love us and want the best for us. Therefore, when they're telling us to be quiet because we're making a fool out of ourselves from opening our mouths, they must be right. It's deferring authority to somebody else just because of their level, because of their place in our lives. How do you get out of it? You need one person to look at you and to see all of who you are and commend you for it. To have this doubt start and to say, 1 minute, maybe there is something to this. And I remember going to Australia and having two very bright, amazing people in the field tell me, they're going to look at you like you're nuts because they've never been exposed to the kind of work that you do. And I said, you know what? I could either go across the world to be just like everybody else, so it's like the corporate version of oatmeal, just really muddy, or I could be myself and tell them about the conversation. And that's what I did. I said, it's your choice whether or not you look at me, there's a wacko woman from Canada, and what am I doing here? Because she's nuts. Or you could say, maybe there's something to this, and I'll give her the benefit of the doubt, at least, to hear her out. I had to be able to give myself permission to be me. And it's hard. It's
I
really
love,
hard.
I
So
love.
what did I have to lose? What I had to lose was my identity as a groundbreaker in the coaching industry.
Mm,
And because of that, it totally changed my career. I started doing global trips to teach. I was in demand all over the world to teach this wacko, methodology that I created, that I used in war zones, that I used in all kinds of high pressure environments, which I'm still doing. So, you look at, if you don't give yourself permission and you don't bring all of yourself to the table, you're denying the world something magical, and that is your unique contribution.
I love that. Donna, I want to continue the conversation, but we do need to take a small commercial break. So hang tight, stay with us. And if you're listening, this is an awesome conversation for all of us. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. And hello, everyone. Welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Elix. I'm your host, Coach Elix, and with me, my amazing co-host,
Stephen Frederick is here.
Stephen the Medium, and we are joined by renowned coach psychologist, Canada's one and only Donna Carlin, and we're talking about her latest book, The Only, Perfectly Yourself, Impossible to Overlook. And Donna, I want to start this segment with Stephen because he has a question for you.
So, Donna, this is just, it's wonderful. It's hello. And we're, like Elix said, we're so happy to have you here. But this is just you, right? From the limited info I know about you, and maybe not so much limited, but you just going against the grain. And that's who you are, as you just explained at the first segment. Because when you were talking about the subject of this book, the levels and angles of this subject is just, it blows my mind, because I'm listening to you, and of course for me, all I keep thinking of is, yes, Donna, yes, I'm thinking about me as a LGBTQ or in that community, thinking I couldn't be myself. I couldn't be myself, and trying to be and find that uniqueness and share that with the world. And how many people that don't do that and don't get to do that for whatever reason, their choice or whatever, and go through their lives that way. And especially too, you mentioned about even when we're young and how we're sort of trained the same way to keep moving forward. So this whole concept, it again, it blows my mind that you came up with this. Like, I just want to know what's in that head of yours. Where you come up.
That could be dangerous, Stephen. Yeah.
But Donna, seriously, I mean, I know you explained it when Elix asked you how did the book come up, but it's just, do you feel like things are just like, you have experiences and then like something is just sort of dropped in there saying, you know what, like alert, this little experience or subject is what I need to write a book about?
Well, I think part of it is learned experience, lived experience. 43 years of observing clients in so many different areas, backgrounds, cultures, and how they show up or not show up. It was, partly, I think, confirmed in our conversation in Boston around identity and the identities that are visible, they're invisible, what we own about ourselves. And from the shadow work that I do is, what do we hide about ourselves? Even our talents and strengths that we're so shocked that we could actually do, that we don't want to test the waters and be tested again in doing it all over again, or even, something we're talented in, but we don't like to do, so we don't want people to know, so we hide it. It doesn't mean that we can't use it towards something else. I mean, my first career was in music, and going into this field so many years ago, people said to me, you're letting music go. I said, no, I'm going to integrate it in my work. Now, I did that a lot more when I was working with long-term care patients and families of cancer kids. I don't necessarily walk into a military task force office and say, I'm going to match you with a hug song and a stretch song. They'll shoot me. So, it's also being appropriate in what you bring to the table. If I'm working there's a CEO of a huge multinational company in the middle of, a hostile takeover or mergers that really upset the apple cart, and I know that they're dealing with cancer, they're going to know that I'm a 2-time cancer survivor, and I can help them through that while we're doing the work we need to do. So I'm going to bring all of me to the table. I'm not going to hide that I'm a cancer patient. I'm not going to hide, that I have fears and insecurities like everybody else. And in this day and age, who doesn't? I can't imagine that somebody doesn't, because the world is so upside down. So why not bring all of yourself to the table and be truthful about that, so that you can show somebody that even somebody in our field could have fears and insecurities just like they do. There's so many parts of our psyche and our persona that make up who we are. It's more than a book. It's all about the systems around us that influence the choices that we make and how we work with them or against them. And I think it's important. I think it was a good time for me to write. I'm listening, to you talking about all these great thoughts you have when you're running, and they go out of your head when you get home. Well, that's me at 2:00 in the morning when all of a sudden I go, "Ooh, I have to add this to my book." And I have a notebook by the side of my bed right now so that I can actually jot it down because it'll be gone in the morning. I think it's an important book, and I'm on my, I think, 5th rewrite because every time I read it, I go, "There's something missing. There's something missing." So it'll probably be out mid-fall, I would think, if everything goes according to plan. But I'm really happy to be able to talk with you about this because I'm sure you have a perspective that I haven't considered, and I would love to hear it.
Stephen?
Yeah, I mean, there's Donna. There's so much in my head right now, listening to what you're saying, because even as what my current career is as a medium, Elix and I have this wonderful friend that I met through Elix, who was right at the start of when I realized I was a medium, and I knew he was a medium. He's fantastic. He was amazing. He was just brilliant with that craft. He was just incredible, and he never sort of expanded what he did. He only did it for people that were very close to him, because of the insecurities or the shame of what people would think, and they would think he's weird. And just like what you explained, Donna, going to Australia, they're going to think this is a crazy woman from Canada. But unfortunately, he got locked into that, and then we were supposed to go to dinner when I found out I was a medium, we were supposed to go to dinner. We saw him randomly in a supermarket. And the day we set the date to have him come over our house, we realized he lived 10 minutes from us. He never showed up, and we found out that like the day before he passed away from a heart attack. And I just think, oh my God, even him listening to this, because this is so right up my alley, because when I do readings, this is what Spirit tells me all the time. If they wish they could come back and be who they really were. But I thought, my God, this guy was phenomenal. And because of the subject you're talking about and writing about, Donna, to help people, to give them the tools, to give them permission to be who they are, that unique person, and realize their meaning here. What would his life have been like if he had that book 20 years ago? If you had already written it and he read it, I mean, what how would it have influenced him and then how he would have made his mark on so many more people because of how great he was. So Donna, I could have you on for another 5 hours, because this subject is just, it's wild, Donna.
I could say that if the book was out and he read it, he might see a different side of himself. The bottom line to whoever is listening is really about the choices you make even after you have that awareness. It takes courage. It takes guts to say, I'm going to choose to be me. It's scary. And so, even when you read something, you go, yes, I am going to do this. And then what? What are the actions you're going to take? Slow, dive in with both feet. Whatever it is, do one thing that brings more of you to the table, and you'll realize people will look at you and say, whoa, I didn't know that about you. And that's not the person I thought you were. You're so much more. And it'll intrigue them, and then show more and show more. It's I always say, why try to be like everybody else? The world needs you. Just be you.
Donna, listening to you, one thing that I'm most present to is something I always say, right? Life is full of consequences. There's good consequences, there's bad consequences, there's neutral consequences. But in listening to you, what I am most present to is the idea that when we shrink ourselves or when we edit ourselves, we do so because what you just said, the fear, right? Of whatever that consequence might be, or people, I may not get that job, I may be rejected for something, and that those consequences are real. But what I've learned is that there's also a real consequences, a real consequence to not honoring who you are, and often we dismiss that. And I believe that consequence is much greater than anything else. The consequence of actually not doing something because of the fear of what doing something may bring to you. You get what I'm saying here?
Oh, yeah, that manifests into regret, severe regret for things that have been lost. That's what it is. I mean, if you're hiding a part of yourself that the world hasn't seen, they don't know it's missing, but you do.
I love that. We got to take another commercial break. Donna, hang in there with us so that we can close the show with your last word. So we'll be right back. And hello, everyone. Welcome back to Get a Grip with Coach Elex. I'm your host, Coach Elex, and with me, my amazing co-host,
Attorney Masick.
And today we are joined by renowned, exceptional coaching professional, executive coach, leadership expert, respected thought leader, Donna Carlin from Canada. And we are discussing her upcoming book, The Only Perfectly Yourself, Impossible to Overlook. Welcome back again, Donna. Thank you for being here with us. And we're at the top of the hour, so I have two things I want to ask you about. Number one, why is authenticity important? And you talk about authenticity as a leadership advantage. And when I say leadership, if you're listening, leadership is not defined by a title or by a job. Leadership is defined as how you show up in life. So you could be somebody who is a mom, and a leader of the household, a leader in your community. And last, Donna, maybe you can close with this question. How do we become impossible to overlook?
The way we become impossible to overlook is to bring all of us to the table, to speak our mind in a way, obviously, that doesn't tick off a lot of people. It's not trying to be better than anyone else. It's trying to be better than you were yesterday. It's saying, you know what, a part of my past life will really serve me in bringing it to my present. I'm going to do that. I'm going to approach things in a way through curiosity and through growth that's going to show people that I'm more than what they see. We talked about identity in Boston. Remember that?
Yes.
And what occurred to me was if you asked my kids who I am, they'll talk about me from the perspective of being their mother. I'll use Michael because the girls came into my life later. So I'm going to use my son Michael, who's known me for his 45 years that he's been on this earth. And there was an interview done with me about my life history, my trajectory. And he never knew a lot of that part of it. He only knew the part mostly about mother, caregiver, because he had so many surgeries, and cheerleader, all of that. Then he saw me, expand in my career once he was older. And what was funny was there are certain parts that if somebody said, tell me who your mother is, he would tell them his version of me. If you went into one of the companies I'm currently working with or another group of people I'm working with or even the testers, and you ask them, tell me about Donna, they will share with you the portion of me that shows up to work with them there. Nobody or very few people see all of who I am, even my husband. He doesn't know what I do during the workday because it's confidential. I can't really share it with him. So, what's interesting is when we start bringing all of us to the table, as a parent, as somebody who works with you, as a human being, and we say, you know what, I'm going to be all of who I am, even then you're not all, because you're going to bring the part of you to the table that's applicable in that moment. So to be the only is somebody that says, if you want somebody who knows, like for me, has a musical background, but works with people in high-pressure environments and their deepest, darkest sides of their psyche to help them through A through Z, then Donna's the one that you're going to call. Because I've not hidden anything that I do with anybody. And that's how you become the only, by bringing all of you to the table. If you try to be polished and play a part, that's the authenticity question you asked, then they know there's something not real about you, that it's a persona, and trust is implicated, and they will not trust that they really are getting the real you. And I think, Elix, you know me long enough to know that I speak my mind. Mm-hmm. Even in Boston, when I walked in, Jeff went, uh-oh, here's Donna. She's going to just speak her mind. And I said, I'll be quiet and I'll learn here. And he says, yeah, right. Everybody knows I'm going to speak what's on my mind. Mm-hmm. Because I don't want to play a part anymore, and I don't want to prove a point anymore. I want to bring all of me and share it with the world so they could take it and use it if they want to.
I love that, Donna. And I've learned, perhaps from our own relationship, because, I felt such an immediate connection with you years ago when we first met for the first time. But I've learned to show up as myself, even if it pisses off other people. I don't care. I really don't care. And I've learned, that saying, like, what somebody else thinks of you is none of your business. I've embraced that. Mm-hmm. Yep. I don't care what you think. I'm going to honor me. I'm going to be me. And if what I have to say upsets you or pisses you off, that's for you to deal with, not for me to deal with. I'm going to give Stephen a chance to offer any thoughts before we close the show. Stephen? Stephen? Well, I don't know.
No, I'm sorry. I must have hit mute I don't know how I did it, but I'm here. So, Don, I was going to say, listening to you in this conversation, and the more I'm thinking about the subject of your book and everything that we're talking about, I'm sort of going through a list that keeps getting larger and larger of, in my life presently and in the past, of speaking to people, whether they're just acquaintances or mostly friends, of hearing I can't because of this person. I can't because I'm in a relationship, but I can't because of this. I can't be. And it just, the more I think about it, the more I have this realization is that those I can'ts are exactly what your book is the antidote for, is really going into that authentic place and really like showing people who you are. So this is, it's more of a comment, but I honestly, I can't wait for the book to be out, Donna, because it's just going to help so many people.
I'm hoping, as long as it gives them one awareness, one thing to latch onto to say, you know what, I am going to be me. I am going to be me here. And if that works out, maybe I'll have the guts to be me somewhere else.
I love that because it's like a stepping stone. It is. It's like a snowball effect. And that is just, as you mentioned earlier, taking those small steps, and just the first step is the biggest, and how the rest of them just keep coming forward. So I love it.
Thank you.
So Donna, we are at the top of the hour, but I love for you to close by sharing with our listeners, give them a golden nugget, something that they can take away to remind them of this conversation. And of course, I want you to let everyone know how they can hear more about you, how they can get your books, how they can connect with you.
The best way to reach me or to read about what I'm doing and my books is go to my website, donnacarlin.com, and it's Karlin is my last name. And you could reach me through there. You could read about, my other books that are already out, and you'll find out when this one and a few others that I'm working on right now, more in the corporate realm, will be out. I think what, it comes down to is that if you try to be the best in a group of people, that keeps you comparable. Being all of who you are narrows the search to one. So that's what's going to make you so unique that people wouldn't imagine going anywhere else. It's not that people lack confidence. They're obeying old rules that taught you how much of themselves is allowed to show up. Well, let all of you show up.
And stop caring about what anyone else thinks of you otherwise.
Yeah. There you go.
Donna, I love you. I wish we were closer to each other so we could get to see a lot more from each other, but we're gonna arrange for that sooner than later. But thank you.
You got it.
Thank you, Donna, for sharing your wisdom, your insight with our listeners so beautifully, so openly, so authentically you. And I appreciate you beyond words. And as Stephen said, we need to talk much more with you. So, expect yet another invitation in the very upcoming future.
Anytime. It's my pleasure. And thank you for having me and for discussing this, because it's dear to my heart and it really means a lot. So thanks a million.
I love you. Thank you, Donna. And Stephen, we're at the very, very top of the hour. Tell people how they can get a hold of you.
Very easily by Stephen the Medium, StephenTheMedium.com, and Stephen the Medium all over social media.
Beautiful. Coach Helix, anywhere on social media, you just type Coach Helix and I will absolutely show up. And as we close the show, just a reminder to all of you listening, authenticity is not about perfection. It's about having the courage, as Donna beautifully said to all of you. It's about having the courage to be fully who you are, not the edited version of you, not the shrunken version of you, but who you are. Listen, everyone, have a wonderful, wonderful holiday weekend. Happy Memorial Day. Happy summer. And thank you to Dave, our producer, to Jim, our general manager, and everyone at WARA 1320 AM radio. We will be next week with Stephen the Medium. Go ahead, Stephen.
I was just going to say that. You must be psychic.
I must be.
Next Friday will be Through the Static. So come join me and Elix and for a little different kind of subject.
Beautiful. So we'll see you again next week with Stephen the Medium and Through the Static. In the interim, stay connected, stay open, and have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.